Good evening, everyone. Myself, SaiSumithReddy. Today, I'm going to present about the topic: how do increasing heat waves affect mango yield, flowering, and fruit development in Queensland? Mangoes are not just enjoyed locally, but they're also enjoyed globally, making them the valuable product in the economy. Let's just get into the first slide of the topic, that is introduction. Mangoes are one of the most important crops grown in Queensland. However, climate change is bringing more frequent and intense heat waves, by which the fruit growth, fruit development, and also fruit yield is being affected by the heat waves. So that's what just mentioned in the introduction part of this slide, where we will focus on the what is the heat waves and how heat waves affect the growth and development of the mangoes in the next slide. So what are heat waves? So a heat wave is when the temperature remains unusually high for 3 or more days in a row, often including very hot nights. According to research, heat waves in Queensland are becoming more common, lasting longer and getting hotter than they were 30 years past ago. And this is very bad for mangoes because they can't control the temperatures like how humans does. And these high temperatures, especially at night, disturb the natural growth cycle. Mangoes, by which the natural growth cycle is affected, which affects the flowering and also fruit development in mangoes. And mangoes rely on cooler climates for the development of the fruits and also for the flowering. They rely on the cooler climates, by which this by the increasing of the heat waves, this function is being naturally disrupted in the middle. So that's what just mentioned in this slide. What are heat waves? So let's just get into the other slide, that is how heat affects flowering. How is the heat is being how heat affects flowering. So for mango trees, flowering plays a crucial role in many aspects. Like for mango trees to flower properly, they need nighttime temperatures below 20 degrees Celsius. But heat waves interrupt these conditions. As a result, flowering is delayed or weakened. In many cases, trees start producing more male flowers, which do not produce fruits, by which the potential yield is being affected. Flowers also tend to fall off early, by which no yield is done. So these many processes are being affected because of the heat waves. So let's just get into the other slide. So that is what just mentioned in this slide, and also I have mentioned that pollination, a flower drop increases under heat stress, meaning the flower fall off before pollination happens. The flower fall off before the pollination happens. And effects on fruit development. After flowering, mangoes enter into the fruit development stage, which is also sensitive to high temperatures. When it's too hot, mangoes often grow smaller and are of less quality or lower quality. Problems like spongy tissue or uneven ripening of the fruits happen during this uh, heat waves conditions, and the fruit may also fall off too early because of the high heats. In addition, heat affects the taste and shelf life of the mangoes by changing their heat sugars and acidity levels. Mangoes which are ripened in high heat tend to be softer and spoil off faster, making them unsuitable for the purchase and also for the export. Farmers often see more fruit being wastage or rejected in the hot heat waves years. So these are the problems faced by the farmers and also the effects on fruit development because of the heat waves. Let's just get into the other slide, and I have also mentioned the graph where allowing uh, degree and also the storage days are mentioned in the graph, and the percentage is also mentioned over there. Let's just get into the other slide. uh, Next slide. Farmers coping strategies To deal with heat waves, some farmers use shade nets to protect mango trees from direct sunlight. Others use drip irrigation that is mainly used in many areas in the Queensland. Others use drip irrigation to save water and keep trees healthy during dry spells. If you are experimenting, that is remote sensing strategies, like when the heat waves are coming, they'll just predict the heat waves and just be cautious before the heat waves itself. However, small farmers often couldn't afford that much technologies, making them stick to the strategies like shade nets and drip irrigation. That's what mentioned in this strategy, in this coping strategies, where remote sensing and drip irrigation and shade nets are covered by the farmers to prevent these heat waves. So these are the shade nets that are mentioned, that is depicted in the pic. Um, so by this we can see that we can just get rid of heat waves to some extent. Let's just get into the other topic, that is stakeholders. Stakeholders perspectives. So what are the stakeholders perspectives? Is experts and researchers believe that more money is needed to support climate focused mango research in Queensland. Stakeholders, including farmers and scientists, say early warning systems should be given so that they can reduce the damage of the yield that is being happened due to the heat waves. And also there are also policies problems, especially in areas like insurance and financial help for small farmers. Many farmers also feel there isn't enough training to help them deal with heat waves. They need to be trained well before the heat waves comes, especially in rural areas and remote sensing areas. Farmers want more cooperation between government and also industry, not just the private sectors. Most of the current efforts only happen. Farmers stakeholders particularly believe that most of the efforts are being made only after the crop is lost. So these are the perspectives of the stakeholders. And let's just get into the other slide, that is research gaps. So there are several major gaps in current research. First, there isn't enough region-specific data to understand how different Queensland mango types respond to heat. Most studies combine mangoes with other tropical fruits, making it hard to focus on mango-specific issues. There are only few economic models that show how much farmers lose from heat waves. There are only few researchers that mention that, and this information is needed for good policy making. Another big issue is that there is no national strategy to guide mango farming under climate change. There is no national strategy for this. And finally, for future research should involve local farmers and indigenous groups whose knowledge can be very valuable. And let's just get into the other slide. So in summary, heat waves are becoming a major threat to mango farming in Queensland. These extreme weather events affect every stage of mango production, from flowering to fruit development in Queensland. Mango farming is very sensitive to climate, and many farmers are already struggling. To protect future mango harvests, we must improve and expand current adaptation strategies, that like using shade nets and drip irrigation that we have used in the we have seen in the last slides about the strategies coping for heat waves. And lastly, it's important to bring together both scientific research and the voices of farmers to create better policies for dealing with climate change. So that's what I just want to mention in this slide. And let's just get into the references of the topic. So these are the references of the topic, and thank you.